Okay, I just saw a reel. There's another continuing periodical uh, political campaign for Donald Trump. I just saw a really ugly report by the communists on CBS. And basically, they had Trump, and he's complaining about the election being rigged. And their only credible source was President Obama. And he made the statement, plus, let's see, they did several other things that sound awfully biased. Oh, they said he was down 9 points. 9 points in the polls. And they said a president or a candidate never recovers when they're this far down, this close to the election. I don't know, but I wonder about the polls. I noticed, Tuesday, he was 4 points down. And I noticed the very next day, he was 11 points down. And I wonder, how did he slip 11 points? I mean, that doesn't make sense. It was a different poll. Well, I mean, it could be, but why would they have one poll one time and another the next? That seemed like an awful long way to slip. And I could see it was right after the report came out about the locker room banter. And they had another girl that was complaining about him, that he was abusing her or something. I can't remember what she said, but I don't remember. It wasn't anything criminal. I know that. I can't believe that second report was enough to drop him 7 more points. It just looks a little weird. And I've seen 2 reports on YouTube that said they think these major polls are they're exaggerating him. In other words, they have him down, or they're calling more registered Democrats than they are registered Republicans. They said 20% more. They said there's no way that 20%, that there's going to be 20% more turnout for Democrats than Republicans. They said there wasn't even that many when Obama won. When Obama won the election, and there's going to be more Republicans turn out this time, because normally, after a Democrat's been in for 8 years, usually a Democrat won't get out and vote, is not as apt to as a Republican, when they haven't had the Republican Party in that long, Republicans are going to be more apt to get out and vote, and it's not going to be, there's going to be even less than there were for Obama, so there's no way there's 20%. Well, they said there was another poll they'd taken that just call them at random without any reference to whether they registered Democrats or Republicans, and that poll had Trump ahead. Well, I don't know whether to believe that or not, but it does look funky. I almost think it's telling the truth, and with that ugly bias they just had, where they didn't, where they said that there's no way he could recover. And the only one they had on the other side was Obama. The credible source they had on whether it was election tampering was Obama. That looks awfully biased. And you got to figure out, look at the polls. I mean, ABC, there's an ABC News poll, okay, owned by Disney. Okay, there's USA Today poll, okay, owned by Gannett. Okay, there's an NBC poll owned by Comcast. Okay, there's a CNN poll owned by Time Warner. All big contributors to the Hillary Clinton Corp. I don't know about Gannett. But they're all big corporations. I know that. Conglomerates. And they all, most of them are big top donors to the Hillary Clinton campaign. Now you look at that, so can you really trust any of these polls? I really don't. I think they're making it look like Trump's going to lose, so no one will get out and vote for him. They know it's going to be real close. And I think what happened, they saw that 4 points, and it was within the margin of error, and they thought, we better get busy and screw up these polls so that no one goes out and votes and we don't have a good Republican turnout, and we'll have more of a Democrat turnout, and Trump will lose. He's even talking about term limits in Congress, and all the corruption, and they don't report on that at all. And he's real. And then he's talking about all the corruption in the rigged election. Well, Obama made the comment. Obama. And so you start to lose, and you're blaming someone else. So I wonder if he's even losing, and you're trying to blame someone else. Well, if someone else is winning because they're cheating and using campaign money, that's a good reason to blame someone else. And there's supposed to be fair elections, and they say there's nothing to it. He also said that, well, we've never had any election tampering ever in the history of the United States that amount to anything. Well, where was he when in the Watergate hearings? I mean, when they're talking about dirty tricks, did he watch the Watergate hearings at all? I mean, Obama's my age. I mean, where was he when all this was going on? I mean, they even talk about LBJ. There was election tampering going on in LBJ's campaign, and he ruined the Nixon campaign, ruined Edmund Muskie's campaign, ran him out the same way Hillary did with Sanders. And he didn't mention that. I mean, there's been, crooked elections, election tampering, as long ago as that, and it had to be a lie. I mean, or he didn't know, but I don't think Obama's not a credible source. And also that he said stop whining. Well, that he also did a report that said anybody that challenged an election was a flag burning non-patriot, Benedict Arnold. I'm trying to think, how does what about what he owes to the voters, what he owes to the majority of the populace, what he owes to the basic principles of democracy, what he owes to legitimate government and the needs of the people, the one man, one vote principle. He owes it to all these things to challenge an election. We don't have 100% proof that elections are fair, and we have quite a bit of evidence in the Sanders election. First of all, we had ABC, which said that the pledged delegates and super delegates together was what Hillary had, and that Sanders would have to get, and then that she had all the super delegates. It implied there's no way that Sanders could pick up the super delegates. Actually, it turns out if he won the majority of pledged delegates, he'd get the super delegates. So they're trying to basically tell Sanders can't win when it was a lie, when he could win, because if he won the majority of pledged, all he had to do was win a majority of the pledged delegates. Super delegates are high pressure for him to turn over to Sanders, but they lied about that. And plus all the election tampering went on 11 states, and they said that the exit polls were out of tolerance. In other words, beyond the limits in 11 states. So there was election tampering. If you've been in one state, probably not. If there's 11 states, there's tampering going on. So there's evidence there was tampering. There was evidence that that people were, they were purged from the polls, the rolls, or whatever they said. They come in, they would let them vote, and to epidemic proportions. So, and and even made the national news on one, the one in New York, like I said, in Sanders' district where he lived, they had proof there was election tampering. And Obama's not bringing this out, and neither did the media. Which leads me to believe that everyone should get out and vote, even if it looks like Trump's losing big. Make sure you get out and vote. Well, Hillary supporters too. Everybody needs to get out and vote. Ignore the media. The media, you obviously can't trust them. And I don't think Bill Still had one. He had a poll where, like I say, that I don't know whether to trust him or not. But he said that, and there were several polls. I think they said they just called them at random and they didn't look at Democrat, Republican. They said the Trump was leading in these places. And plus, you can't trust Trump has a good argument that the election's rigged by the fact the 11 states that there was election tampering going on, that the major media didn't touch these stories. I mean, it should have been a 60 Minutes investigation, and there wasn't, with it as spread as it was. And so by that reason alone, there's tampering. And let's see, California didn't match the predicted poll results, for one thing. There was voter suppression, cheating, mass purging, registration rolls, purged off the rolls, not allowed to vote, government voters given provisional ballots, which were thrown away. There's even a lawsuit filed in California, and apparently it was a viable claim because the judge didn't throw it out. So apparently they, by preponderance of the evidence, at least, or almost, there must have been, evidence that, fair preponderance, not quite, but pretty good evidence that there was tampering going on, and the media should have brought this out. And so Trump's got a good argument, and his campaign ought to be reporting all this. All these cases, New York and California, where they had quite a bit of evidence that there was voter election tampering going on. And the major media should be picking up on this. And the Trump campaign should be. And Trump should bring it out in the debate, where there is strong evidence of it. at least with that lawsuit. You know, there'd have to be something there. I mean, why the Trump campaign isn't doing this, I don't know. But there's a lot of strong evidence that there was election tampering and it's a rigged election. And just putting Obama on there to counter it is not. Obama doesn't have a good argument. I mean, he had to either be lying, because you know there was election tampering back in LBJ's campaign and there was back in Nixon and Watergate. So, I mean, it's been going on a long time. But anyway, the main point I'm trying to make with this report: go ahead, get out and vote. Don't listen to the corporate media. They're probably lying. They're trying to make it look like he can't win when he can. They know, well, even if he was down quite a bit. I mean, look at the Republic, look at the number of people he's bringing out to his rallies. Well, Hillary can't get 500, and you know it's kind of going to be that same kind of ratio when people vote. More than likely, and Republicans are more apt to vote than Democrats when they've been out of office for 8 years. You know, and yeah, for 2 elections, and they're worried about being out forever. They're probably going to get out and vote, and don't listen to the polls. Just vote one way or the other. I just want people to get out and vote, and don't let them deceive, brainwash, and whatever else they're trying to do. Thanks for watching.